Inside the Magic, show number 458 for January 12th, 2014. It is Sunday, January 12th, 2014. This is show 458 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I am your host, Ricky Briganti, with another great show packed with Disney and theme park news and a whole lot more fun. And before we get to all of it, I invite you to visit our website at InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and plenty more. And if you ever have any news, tips, questions, comments, or anything else, you can write to me at Ricky@InsideTheMagic.net. Or you can always call and leave a voice message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. You can save up to 30% on rooms and select Walt Disney World Resort hotels when you travel between March 14th and June 15th. You can also upgrade to a room and ticket package and get one more ticket day for free. Certain restrictions apply. Hurry for the best availability. The offer expires at the end of March, so call Magical Travel today at 866-207-8387 or visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And when you do that, be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And thanks very much to our contributors to Inside the Magic, including Thomas Parker this week, and all monthly recurring donation subscribers. Thanks very much for all of it. It supports the show and everything else that I do. And now let's get started with a trip around the world. So the big news story this week is hot on the heels of the closing of Camp Mini Mickey at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Festival of the Lion King, of course, the show there is being moved to the Africa section of the park. Of course, we're talking Walt Disney World here. Well, Camp Mini Mickey closes and Avatar begins construction. That is right. Avatar Land, or Pandora, or whatever you want to call it, is officially on the way. Ground was broken just a few days ago using some giant blue shovels, inspired by the Na'vi, of course, the big blue guys in Avatar, the James Cameron film. They're beginning to build Pandora. Of course, we don't really know what that means yet. We're talking a little bit more about that later in this week's show. At the groundbreaking moment, commemorating the beginning of construction, was Walt Disney Parks and Resorts Chairman Tom Staggs, as well as Imagineer Joe Rohde, who was behind much of Animal Kingdom, so he's on board for this project, as well as Chief Creative Executive for Walt Disney Imagineering Bruce Vaughn. Walt Disney World President George Kalligridis was there, and the Walt Disney Parks head of the United States and France, Meg Crofton, as well as the producer of the Avatar, the first film and the upcoming films, John Landau. So a little more about that later. Now, turning over to the Magic Kingdom, where the Festival of Fantasy Parade is coming up soon, within the next couple of months or so. Disney hasn't actually announced a specific date as to when it will officially debut, but it already has arrived at least in part, to the Magic Kingdom. Backstage, some of the upcoming parade floats have been spotted for it. Some of it is being borrowed from Tokyo Disneyland, where a similar parade has happened there in the past, and those familiar with that parade will be able to recognize those floats in the Magic Kingdom. But there's also some new ones, including a mystery float that Disney has yet to reveal. As I said, there is no debut date for this parade. This will be the afternoon parade, presumably the 3 o'clock parade at the Magic Kingdom, and mid-March sounds like when it may debut, though that is not official yet. This weekend was another series of marathons and half marathons and pseudo-marathons and whatever, Run Disney events at Walt Disney World, and I don't have a lot to say about that other than I am jealous of the runners, not because they ran, because I don't do that, but because they got to meet, once again, Darkwing Duck and Launchpad. They made another appearance. I know I've said this in the past, and that I'm going to have to do one of these runs sometime, specifically just to meet Darkwing Duck and Launchpad. I've never seen these characters in person, never had my photo with them, really want to, and it seems that the only time they ever come out is for these Run Disney events, and you have to be a runner to get your photo with them, and at least make it a couple of miles into it. I think Darkwing Duck was somewhere like 3 miles into the half marathon. I could probably do that, even if I walk and then just kind of give up after that. I have no desire to actually finish it, but I will gladly do it if it means meeting those characters. I was really hoping they would come out for Long Lost Friends at some point during Limited Time Magic, but now we're in 2014. That's all over, and I'm disappointed. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes in the future. Meanwhile, just in time for the busy weekend, a busy marathon weekend over at Epcot, a new eatery has soft opened. It is the Spice Road Table in Morocco. I have not had a chance to get out there and check it out myself so far, but it serves small plates, so it's not a full-on restaurant, but from what I hear, it's pretty good, and I will definitely go check it out soon. Let's jump coast over to Disneyland, where it was announced this week that Captain America will soon be meeting and greeting with Disneyland guests, joining Thor, as well as the existing Iron Man exhibit. It seems like Marvel just keeps moving into Disneyland more and more. Of course, Captain America the Winter Soldier, which is the sequel to the first Captain America film, will be in theaters April 4th. Disney did not give an exact date as to when Captain America will be begin to meet and greet with guests at Disneyland, but I imagine it'll be maybe a couple of weeks in advance of that film hitting theaters, maybe even sooner than that. We'll see. Of course, Captain America can already be seen aboard the Disney Magic cruise ship in the Avengers Academy experience. Now, this past weekend, Club 33 at Disneyland in New Orleans Square served its final guests before closing for extensive renovations. It'll be closed for several months, reopening sometime this summer. That date has not been announced. It's closed to add on a new kitchen, a lounge, a new entryway, updated decor, and you can head over to InsideTheMagic.net to see photos and a video tour of what Club 33 was like prior to it closing about a week ago or so. And the way it has been for many, many years. This will be the first major change to Club 33 ever. So they'll be losing the trophy room, which is unfortunate. That's a big piece of Disney history there, though Disney does say some of the more recognizable elements from the trophy room will be moving to other locations in Club 33. So we'll see how that goes. But if you want to see what Club 33 has always looked like, head over to the website. Back out here to Florida, to Universal Orlando for some interesting casting news. Of course, we all know the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Phase 2, Diagon Alley, is coming to Universal Studios Florida, and Universal is now hiring folks who can do either a British or a Caribbean accent. Well, the British accent, obvious, but you think, Harry Potter, why would they need a Caribbean accent? Well, if you think about the films, you remember on the night bus, there was a little shrunken head that had a Caribbean accent. Well, there is going to be a night bus parked out front of the London waterfront area, sort of the facades blocking the rest of Diagon Alley. That night bus is going to be parked out there, so presumably the Caribbean accent will be used in some fashion inside of that. So we'll see about that. But interesting. If you want, of course, if you are interested in that casting, head over to our Facebook page. I posted the link to that. It's also in this week's show notes. And on a related note, the head executive of Comcast was talking theme parks recently. He's the Comcast chairman and chief executive officer. He is Brian Roberts, and of course Comcast is through a series of ownership changes over the last few years. They basically own the Universal Parks. And at a recent conference, they said, or rather he said, some fighting words, if you will, for theme park future. He said, quote, "We're doubling down on theme parks. We think there is a lot of there in the theme park business for many years to come, and that we have a low market share and only one way to go," end quote. So they are definitely in it for the competition. Back out to Disneyland now, where the long-standing act, Billy Hill and the Hillbillies, are officially gone from Disneyland. Disneyland just opted to not keep them around anymore. However, if you are a fan of the Billies, then you can head to Knott's Berry Farm. They are now performing there under the new name Crazy Kirk and the Hillbillies. They also have a website, kirkwallandthehillbillies.com. So you're not completely out of luck. You just have to go to a different park. Meanwhile, at Disneyland, in that Big Thunder Ranch area, there's something new that is also something old. It seems the long-lost friends of Limited Time Magic have carried forward into something new called the Roundup of Traveling Disney Friends. I guess Disneyland saw that the long-lost friends, the rare characters that they brought out during Limited Time Magic last year, were very popular, and as a result of that, they've continued to do that some more, which is great. I wish they would do that out here at Walt Disney World. There's a great open spot in Town Square Theater. Now that the princesses have moved out to Princess Fairy Tale Hall, that'd be a perfect location to rotate out some rare characters like, who could they put there? Oh, maybe Darkwing Duck and Launchpad. So, no plans for that, unfortunately, that I know of, but that sure would be nice. Back to the world of Marvel, a Los Angeles-based entertainment company called Hero Ventures is putting together a touring show that's going to be going around the United States this year. It's in partnership with Marvel Entertainment and thusly Disney. It's called The Marvel Experience, and it will be using big technologies to create a massive structure, what's going to look like a temporary shield installation or a mobile command center, kind of like the one that you saw in the Thor movie, the big sort of dome tent-looking thing. It'll be a 2-acre facility with 80,000 square feet and up to 6 stories high. That's going to include a 4D ride, 3D animated short films, digital projections, virtual reality, holographic simulators, and plenty of merchandise that you can buy as well. More than $30 million has been invested into this touring project. The cities have not been revealed yet, but it will be touring throughout 2014. More information can be found at themarvelexperiencetour.com. In the world of movies, Frozen is coming home to Blu-ray on March 18th. That date was announced a little over a couple of months from now. You'll be able to own Frozen. It is available for pre-order now via Amazon and other, Best Buy and whatnot, the usual places to get movies. So if you're eager to really get your hands on Frozen, well, you can at least pre-order it now. In the world of video games, a new game was announced for Nintendo 3DS called Disney Magical World from Disney Interactive. It's, of course, a Disney-themed game featuring lots of Disney characters, but it's a sort of an Animal Crossing type of game where you can customize your character, have different outfits, you can plant crops and collect cards and run a little cafe and things like that. It's going to be coming to the 3DS on April 11th. It actually was already released in Japan, as games tend to be released there first. Disney Magic Castle My Happy Life is the name of it in Japan, but here it's simply Disney Magical World. Again, that's coming out in North America April 11th. Now, some very interesting things have been said about Walt Disney by Meryl Streep this week. She had some rather negative things to say about Disney's opinions, or at least the way she saw them, about women and Jewish people and various things like that. She said them very publicly, and a lot of fans were quick to react and call her various bad things. Meanwhile, a very elegantly put and well-researched, well-thought-out article was posted to the Walt Disney Family Museum in response to Meryl Streep, the actress, of course, Meryl Streep's comments. So you can read that, you should read that, and pass it along to everybody who may have heard her comments. Their response is at waltdisney.org/content/defense-Walt-Disney, and I'll put that in the show notes as well. Now, a few weeks ago, I reported that the head of Disney D23, Stephen Clark, had stepped down from that position, left the Disney company. Well, now a new head of D23 has been announced. He is Adam Sanderson. He was most recently the vice president of franchise management at ABC. He is also now the senior vice president of corporate communications of the Walt Disney Company. He's been with Disney for 17 years, and he was really in charge of a lot of things at Disney Channel, Disney XD, Disney Junior, Radio Disney, ABC Family, ABC Daytime. He worked on projects like High School Musical, Hannah Montana, things like that. So that is who is now in charge of D23. Back to Frozen, though, in the world of music now. 6 weeks after the Frozen soundtrack came out, it has topped the Billboard 200 chart with more than 500,000 units sold. It's the best-selling soundtrack for Disney in quite a while. In fact, the last animated movie and soundtrack to be number one at the same time was The Lion King back in 1994, which is interesting because Disney, when they were promoting Frozen, was saying this is the best animated film from Disney since The Lion King. Well, guess what? The numbers seem to agree. The Frozen soundtrack has also reached number one on Billboard's soundtrack chart, as well as digital sales online. And if you've been following the Annie Leibovitz Disney Dream Portrait series for quite a long time now, you may have already seen the latest installment in that series this week. It is actress Jessica Chastain portraying Merida on horseback, shooting an arrow through the fields, or with the hair flowing in the glen and all of that. You can definitely see that portrait along with all of the others from Annie Leibovitz over at InsideTheMagic.net, as well as some behind-the-scenes video and photos of the creation of these rather popular pictures. Now, I mentioned Imagineer Joe Rohde earlier with respect to the Avatar Project and Animal Kingdom. Well, he has his own website at joerohde.net, and he posted an interesting blog entry just a few days ago. Not only is he famous for being an Imagineer, but he's also recognizable for having that big ol' earring that he wears all the time. Well, he actually wrote a bit of the story behind his famous earring, or earrings, as he tells. So if you want to visit his website, you can read a bit about that. It is, for the spelling, Joe, J-O-E, Rohde, R-O-H-D-E.net, and poke around there for the last few days, and you will find it. Those of you who may be looking for a new house and are a fan of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion might want to scoop up the house that is once again for sale in Georgia. It is in Duluth, and it is a near replica of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. A lot of very close details have been matched on the outside, a lot of fun things on the inside as well. It's a 10,000 square foot home, and it is now up for sale for $675,000, which is really not a bad price considering it's a 10,000 square foot home, and it looks like the Haunted Mansion. If I lived in Georgia, in the Duluth area, I'd be mighty tempted, but I'm not moving to Georgia. But be cool if one of you out there bought it. This is, of course, not the first time it's tried to be sold. It's just the latest, and the price is a little bit lower this time, I think. And lastly is a TV listing from Kirby over at bartlett-sloan.net/TV, and it's an upcoming program on Disney Cruise Line called Disney Cruise Line Reimagineering the Magic on Destination America. It's going to air this Saturday, January 18th from 9 to 10 p.m., and it'll re-air on Sunday the 19th from midnight to 1, and then 4 to 5 a.m. You'll have to hunt around on your cable or satellite or whatever to find Destination America, which is its own channel. Coincidentally enough, when I was on the Disney Magic for its first sailing, coming back from the refurbishments and updates and upgrades and all that stuff a few months ago. Of course, when you sail on these Disney cruises, you are paired up with people, generally, when you have the rotational dining. So the people that I was put at the table with were the producers and everybody involved. Well, not everybody, because they had a rather large crew, but a lot of the people in charge of shooting this very special aboard the Disney Magic. Very nice people. They told me a lot about what they were working on and who they were interviewing, and it sounds like it's going to be a good special, really showing the ins and outs of what it took to upgrade this Disney cruise ship. So definitely go watch that coming up in a few days, and that'll do it for your news from around the world this week. This week's tip comes in from Elizabeth, who writes, on our trip down to Walt Disney World back in September for our second honeymoon / 1-year anniversary, we bought an ornament to commemorate the wonderful experience. When opening it for the first time over Thanksgiving to put on the Christmas tree, to my horrifying shock, the ornament was shattered. Luckily, I knew someone who works at the Christmas tree store in Magic Kingdom. He advised me to contact the number on the receipt to exchange the item, and just my luck, I did not have it. My contact provided me me with the number, and I called it, and long story short, as a one-time courtesy without the receipt, they did exchange it for a brand new one. The new one arrived safe and in a big, well-packaged box. Moral to the story is hang on to your receipts from Disney. Remember to check all merchandise when you get home, and never be afraid to contact Disney to replace souvenirs. Excellent, Elizabeth. Great tip there. Certainly, Disney, unless it's a limited edition item, carries a lot of the same stuff all months of the year. And in cases like that, it's good to hear that they are accommodating, even if it's just a one-time courtesy, as they may have called it. One of those little magical moments, if you will, to make sure that not only was your anniversary/second honeymoon commemorated, but also your Christmas tree was adorned with another fun Disney item. Everybody else, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. And now let me say a few words about capturing magic, the iPhone apps that are the ultimate tool for documenting and recording the magic of your Disney vacation. Whether you're at Disneyland in California or Walt Disney World in Florida, Capturing Magic offers a helpful list of photo opportunities and memories to capture before, during, and after your trip. It's the perfect way to make sure you don't miss any of those magical moments, because when you're wandering the parks, the app is actually going to remind you of any photo ops that you picked out when you're near those locations, and then you take a picture and you mark off who's in it and which camera it was taken on, and then you can easily find, export, and organize those photos later. The Capturing Magic iPhone apps are available now in the iTunes App Store.
Hear ye, hear ye, royal guests throughout the land. It is now time for a Fantasyland expansion update.
It's been a while since I have used that intro, and figured it was a perfect time this week because we're looking ahead to the Seven Dwarves Mine Train. Of course, this is the final phase of the new Fantasyland expansion of the Magic Kingdom out here at Walt Disney World. And this week, Walt Disney World was showing off a first look inside the Seven Dwarves Mine Train, the actual mountain, the mine itself. Very brief one at that, but they did release a new video with some Imagineers talking about the details that they've been putting into those new swinging ride vehicles, the mine cars that'll be part of this attraction, and the painstaking amount of time and effort that they've been putting in to make sure that they look like a variety of woods, maybe fictitious woods, maybe woods that would exist in the world of the Seven Dwarves, and of course Snow White, but nevertheless wood that they look like they're made out of, and that they're nicely weathered but still have that Disney magical charm to them. But more importantly, this video that Disney put out has some glimpses of Snow White's cottage, still under construction, and inside the mine itself. You can't see a whole lot, but you do see, sort of get an idea of what it'll be like to descend into this mountain and see the rockwork all around you, and then it kind of fades into the animation that we've seen many times of what the ride will be like, with the dwarves being animatronic dwarves, very lifelike ones from what I understand, actually mining away inside. And then there's also some on-ride footage of it going around the track outside. Again, it is still all under construction, but definitely a video worth seeing to get an idea of what this attraction will be like when it opens in a few months. Of course, spring 2014 is when it is scheduled to open, so within the next few months. And if you want to see this video, which I'm sure you do, head over to insidethemagic.net, and you'll find it there. There's your Fantasyland update.
Automobiles approaching snowflake specimen.
Magnification. Magnification.
And now it is time to debut a brand new segment here on Inside the Magic. I've been looking for a way where I could look a little closer, get a closer look at certain news stories throughout the weeks that just need a little bit more attention than just kind of blasting through it at the top of the show in the Around the World segment. So here's the idea that I came up with. I'm calling it the Mighty Microscope. Of course, you should know exactly where that came from. And this week, I'm going to be taking a closer look at 3 stories, one of which I already mentioned earlier, a couple of which I did not mention. So the first of which that we're going to be taking a look at, hold on, cue the audio.
Magnification. Magnification.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to play that before each one. The first one I'm going to be taking a look at is jumping over to Disney's Animal Kingdom at the Avatar project. As I said earlier, it is now under construction after years. It was first announced that Avatar would be coming to Walt Disney World in September 2011. Let that sink in for a second. 2011. We're now in 2014. That is a very long time between announcement and construction, and during that time it left a lot of people to wonder what's going on with Avatar. Is it going to happen? What's unusual about this particular project for Disney, of course they like to take their time with everything, but in this case they decided to announce it quite a bit earlier than they normally do. Normally when a concept comes up, when they think of something like, hey, we want to work with James Cameron and build something about Avatar. That's the idea. And then it goes from there. Then, the Imagineers get a hold of it, the writers and concept artists, and they work on it for a very, very long time. Years, in fact. This happens with practically everything that Disney does. That's a major project for the parks. And then, somewhere during that couple of years, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year time, at that point, when they're feeling comfortable with the project, that's when they'll generally make that announcement. Normally. This time, they made the announcement at the beginning of that process. As they signed their agreement with James Cameron, they thought, hey, you know what? We're going to announce this now. And so what did that mean? Well, it meant they had nothing to show. Like, absolutely nothing, because they hadn't worked on it yet. They just decided, hey, we're going to do this. So since then, they've been working on whatever concepts have, tucked away in the halls of Imagineering. And recently, within the last couple of months, they came out and detailed a little bit of it. Apparently, there's going to be some kind of a boat ride, right? We're going to see glowing trees, of course. You think of Avatar and you think, what would it offer for Disney's Animal Kingdom? The most important thing that it's bringing is this nighttime after dark experience. Now, the reason I'm talking about this now, of course, is because the ground has been broken. Construction has begun replacing Camp Mini Mickey, which was never really intended to be around quite as long as it was anyway, with something a lot more permanent. What's very important, though, is if you watch the video that Disney put out sort of this groundbreaking, you'll see Tom Staggs, chairman of Walt Disney Parks and Resorts, note that this project will make Disney's Animal Kingdom a full-day park. And he really said that, which is interesting, that Disney essentially is coming out and admitting, yeah, we know everybody is coming to Animal Kingdom and only spending half a day there. And, of course, yeah, it closes early, so that's obvious. But really, they're saying we realize that it is not as entertaining, as many hours of entertainment as the other parks, and now we're working to make it so. So there's going to be After Dark entertainment that will and will not directly involve Avatar. It'll be live performers and some kind of nighttime spectacular, a nighttime version of Kilimanjaro Safaris. Discovery River will have some life to it. There'll be music and a whole lot of glowing plants. And so it is a good thing for that reason alone, whether or not you like Avatar. Which, I mean, I've seen the movie once. I saw it in theaters. I heard great things about the 3D and this and that, and I did think the 3D was phenomenal, but the movie itself was just kind of for me. I'm actually quite looking forward to Avatar Disney's Animal Kingdom because of the possibilities of what Disney can do with these types of things. Now, just strip Avatar away from it for a second. Just pretend that movie doesn't exist. Get rid of the characters that you know from the movie. Get rid of the specifics. And just think if Disney announced, hey, we're adding a fantasy element to Disney's Animal Kingdom, which has been planned since the very beginning. If you look at the Animal Kingdom logo, it's got a dragon in it. We're adding a fantasy element. It's going to have a nighttime element. It's going to bring the park, make the park open later. You're going to have a chance to experience a lot more after dark. It's going to add a lot of really beautiful nighttime elements. The plants are going to glow. The tree of life is going to glow. There's going to be more entertainment. There's going to be at least one, probably two, brand new rides, one involving flying, one a boat ride, which Disney has not built in quite a while. If you heard all of that, you'd be excited. Then you throw the word Avatar in there, and you're just like, oh, Avatar. Yeah. So that's where the mind frame that I am in this project. I'm just pretending it's not Avatar. I don't really care that it's Avatar, because whether I hated the movie, loved the movie, or something in between, I can still get behind a project that Disney is working on. And I keep comparing it to Cars Land at Disney California Adventure, because I'm not a big fan of Cars, the movie, the franchise, the characters, the anything, really. It's all right. But I love Cars Land. Great fun. Have a blast being there. Just being there is great. The environment, the rides are certainly fun. The whole atmosphere, the music, it's very, very well done. Quite immersive, to use that overused word. And I'm sure Avatar Land or Pandora or whatever it's going to be called is going to be the same. So that's kind of my take as we sit here as construction has begun. Of course, there is no time frame, and we don't know what kind of surprises Disney and James Cameron have in store for us, but I'm sure whatever it is will be exciting. Now on to our second closer look.
Magnification.
Now we're going to shift over to Universal Orlando, where recently I was talking about the big expansion/update of Universal City Walk, hot on the heels of Disney's announcement of Disney Springs, a big makeover to downtown Disney. Universal is planning on opening up many new venues across their City Walk area out here at Orlando. The first of which has already opened as the Red Oven Pizza Bakery, which is nothing too monumental. It replaced an old pizza place with a new pizza place, essentially. But this second one that's going to be opening up very, very soon is called Antojitos. And it is a new Mexican restaurant. The name literally means little cravings or small bites or anything to that effect. It's kind of synonymous with Mexican street food. And I bring it up now because just a few days ago I had a chance to go over to Universal and partake in a very small media preview of what is to come from Antojitos. Now, it was not complete. It was almost complete. It's still a construction site. I'd say maybe about 90 to 95% complete. They're already training staff, training chefs, etc. So it is definitely moving along rapidly and should open very soon. They haven't committed to a date quite yet. But I thought I would take this opportunity to give you a little bit of a closer look of what to expect out of Antojitos. From the outside, if you've seen what it looks like, whether through artwork or the actual building, kind of looks like an old Mexican church that has a tie-dye explosion across it. There's bright colors seemingly randomly placed throughout the whole thing. It is a bizarre-looking building. It has a working bell at the top. They're still trying to figure out exactly when and why that will chime, but it's there. And they actually chimed it for myself and the couple of other reporters that were there. And so we heard it, but it's the colors are bright and eye-catching, certainly, but not the most appealing necessarily. Now, I was walking around this restaurant with Modesto Alcala, who's the vice president of revenue operations for Universal Studios, kind of the vice president of City Walk, as well as David Grapschi, who's a tequila expert, which is very important for this restaurant. And as we're walking around, I asked, so what's up with the vibrant colors on the outside? And it's supposed to mirror, according to them, the liveliness and the colors of Mexican streets that are filled with vendors and food carts and that sort of thing. And that actually is going to be going on outside. There will be small plates offered in vendor carts, as well as a bus, a VW bus serving alcohol out of it, a bar bus, if you will. So there's going to be some sort of and seating as well out there. So it's going to be some lively atmosphere outside of the restaurant. Now, inside, and this is very interesting, I learned there are actually kind of two separate restaurants within Antojitos. I wasn't able to take pictures because it was still under construction, so I kind of have to describe things, which this is a podcast anyway, so that works anyway. A lot of downstairs is a very urban environment. There's graffiti on the walls. There's wood and brick and metal, and it's supposed to be a party kind of atmosphere. Neon lights and artwork on the ceiling and on the walls, and there's this bizarre row of baby dolls, plastic baby dolls, that have been painted to look like a traditional Mexican wrestlers. Very quirky, kind of a fun feel. There's a little bit of a stage of sorts, but they're saying there's not really going to be a band playing there so much as different sort of acts, or I don't know, they weren't really clear as to exactly what was going to be on the stage. There may be a roaming band, might be a DJ, it just depends on the night. It's a very probably a loud sort of party atmosphere, as I said, downstairs, but when you go upstairs, they're calling it the Hacienda, or Antojitos Up, because you go up. It's a different menu upstairs, actually, with a much more homey feel, sort of relaxing, a little bit classier feel. You lose the graffiti in favor of something a little more upscale, but not stuffy in any way. So it's an interesting split between the upstairs and the downstairs. Now, I had a chance to sample some of the food and the drinks that will be served there. And it's definitely some Mexican food, unlike any other in the area. Of course, they're going to be serving classics like burritos and tamales and tacos and that kind of thing. But what they wanted to show off for this small group of reporters that they invited was some of their more unique items, beginning with esquites asado, which are this amazing roasted corn appetizer. Very creamy, cheesy, just absolutely delicious. It's served with some fresh chips to dip in it, and just it was fantastic. Tamale fritters were also excellent, kind of crunchy, breaded on the outside, but warm, squishy tamale corn interior inside. Also very good. Served with what ended up being quite a theme between all their food. This taste of roasted peppers and chilies. And there was a sauce, a guajillo sauce served with the tamale fritters. Not too spicy, but very good. So appetizers definitely blew me away. They were way better than I thought they would be. Big plus for City Walk, certainly. Entree that they served was a guajillo chicken. I found it to be a little bit dry. The spice was definitely there, again with the guajillo pepper or chili, but it was the chicken itself was The outside of it, the skin and all that was great. Chicken was just okay. They served a shrimp dish, which I'm not a big seafood eater, so I shouldn't even talk about it because I can't give you an honest opinion there. Well, I can give you an honest one, but I can't give you a good opinion, I suppose I should say. And then finally, there was a dessert that was just mind-blowing. It was an amazing dessert. It was a molten cajeta de leche, which actually had 3 different things on the plate. There was a small sort of lava cake with this kind of caramel-like sauce in the middle, but it wasn't caramel. That was great. There was some brittle in the middle, and then there was a sour cream ice cream with some fresh mint on top. Absolutely delicious. I would go there just to get that. And throughout this experience, the tequila expert that was there was talking quite a bit about tequila. I had no idea that I would learn so much about tequila. I've probably had one taste of tequila in my entire life before this day, and afterward I had left with many sips of tequila because I was, there with a tequila expert. I might as well try it while he's serving it up. And I didn't realize tequila was a thing that you could actually pair with different foods, but apparently you can. According to him, tequila is very good for both Mexican and Japanese cuisine. And in this case, he had some very specific tequilas for each of those courses that I just mentioned, and some real wine connoisseur-like ways of drinking it with, swirling and sniffing and pressing it to the roof of your mouth and that kind of thing. I don't know. It definitely worked well with the meal, though I did just take some small sips since I needed to drive home afterwards. So overall, though, the impression that I got from what I was seeing, what I was smelling, what I was hearing, and what I was tasting is that Antojitos is going to bring a lot to Universal City Walk that wasn't there before, that it isn't necessarily in the area, and is definitely somewhere that I look forward to dining at when it does officially open soon. That's all they'll say. It's going to be very, very soon. They'll be serving dinner service, and along with that, moving in the future, there's going to be a lot more changes coming to City Walk, including the Hot Dog Hall of Fame, which is under construction immediately across from Antojitos, as well as Vivo is now the name of the Italian restaurant that'll have fresh pasta that's going to be there. The Cowfish, which is combining burgers with sushi. Very odd concept, but from what I understand, it's very good. It will be down the path a little bit. All of that's going to be opening with some others later this year. So quite a lot to look forward to over there. And now one more closer look this week.
Magnification. Magnification.
The days of traditional FastPass at Walt Disney World are fleeting. They are disappearing very, very quickly. Over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, Disney has already been testing the idea of having FastPass Plus only with no paper FastPasses. And come January 14th, just a couple of days from now, the same is going to happen at the Magic Kingdom. It is very much in testing mode, but the goal is to phase out the classic, traditional, old FastPass system in favor of the new electronic-only FastPass Plus. So what does this mean? It means if you go to the Magic Kingdom beginning a couple of days from now, you're not going to be able to walk around the park and stick your ticket in the machine and get a little ticket out of it and tells you what time to come back. You're simply not going to be able to do that. What are you going to be able to do instead? Well, it depends on where you're staying. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World resort or you happen to have a Magic Band already, if you're staying at a resort, you get a Magic Band. If you're not staying at a resort and you have one somehow, maybe you stayed there in the past, maybe you got one, I don't know. Anyway, if you have one, you can use MyDisneyExperience.com to book, or the mobile app, to book your FastPass Plus reservations up to 60 days before your visit. Now, if you don't have a Magic Band, if you are just a single day show up, you want to go to the Magic Kingdom, you're not staying on property, or if you're an annual pass holder, Magic Band's not available for any of that yet. It's only available to those who are staying on property at the moment. That will change in the future. That's just at the moment. So, what are annual pass holders doing? What are just regular ticket holders that aren't staying on property doing at the Magic Kingdom as of this coming Tuesday? You have to visit one of the My Magic Plus kiosks around the park. When you get there, you can pick your up to 3 FastPass Plus options for the day. And there is a certain allotment that they're having for the advanced choices, and then they're holding sometimes for the day of choices. So don't worry about it being totally booked up before you get there, because they are holding some for the day of. But that's what you're going to have to do. And you want to make any changes during the day, you can't use MyDisneyExperience.com just yet. You're going to have to go to one of those kiosks around the park as well. So a little bit confusing and a little bit cumbersome in the meantime of sort of slowly rolling this out. But what is the grander picture here? Is this a good thing? Is it good that we are moving away from these paper tickets to these new ones? Well, let's think about sort of the workflow of this, right? If you go to the park under the old system, the current system, if you will, it's you go into the park, you use your ticket to get in, you think, hey, I want to ride. Well, let's go with Hollywood Studios for an example, because that will be sticking around under the old system for a little bit longer. Let's say you want to go to Tower of Terror, and you get there, and it's got a wait time of an hour. Well, you look to your left, you see the FastPass machines, you stick your ticket in, you get your ticket out, you see what time, and then you go wherever else you want to go until your time is ready or until you can get another ticket. A little bit tiresome there, because you had to walk all the way over to the attraction only to find out then that you don't want to wait in line, and then you get your pass, and then you go somewhere else, and then you have to come back, and it's definitely extra walking, definitely out of your way. So how does this change with FastPass Plus? Well, let's just take the you can't use online part of this first. Like it's going to be for annual pass holders for now and single day ticket holders or non-resort guest holders. Well, you're still going to have to go into the park and you're going to seek out a kiosks, which you can liken that to having to go to the attraction and seeking out the FastPass machines. And no big difference there. You're still going into the park and looking for a thing. And then once you're there, not only are you going to be able to grab a pass for just one thing, you're going to be able to get a FastPass, sign up for a time for 3 things for the day. So that already is an improvement over the other system, because you didn't have to go jumping around the park across multiple hours in order to get 3 reservations. You just get them all at the same time. Then, once you do that, well, guess what? Plans changed. You want to see a parade. Lunch came up. You had to run back to wherever. Well, you can go back and you can make changes. You couldn't change anything under the old system, so there's another plus. What else is a plus? Well, there is now the ability to book additional things like a parade viewing area or fireworks viewing or show seats or something like that. Things you weren't able to do under the old system. So there's more options now under FastPass Plus. And then if you add in the Magic Band, or whatever RFID enabled thing that I personally don't want to use a Magic Band, but once the whole system is together, and you'll be able to use either your RFID ticket or your Magic Band or whatever. I don't know if they're going to come out with anything else, but point being, once it's all linked to your account online, you're going to be able to make those changes on the go. So you then take that kiosk out of the equation. You no longer have to go visit a thing, whether it's at an attraction or City Hall or wherever. You don't have to do that anymore. You just pull your device out of your pocket, your phone, your tablet, your whatever, and pull up a website, pull up the mobile app, and make your reservations then on the fly as you're walking through the park. So when that thing comes up, when you have to go eat, you have to go to the bathroom, you have to do whatever you have to do, you can make the change immediately without going anywhere. Then take it even further than that. You're not even at the park yet, and you're already thinking, hey, you know what? I'm 100% sure that when I go to the Magic Kingdom, I want to ride Space Mountain. There's no doubt about it. Well, you can make your reservation now and not even have to worry about it. You step in the park knowing that at 1 o'clock you can go on Space Mountain without waiting in line. The rest of the day then can fall into whatever you want to do at the time. And if you happen to miss that, you happen to want to wait in line, the line is short, whatever, you want to make changes, etc., it all goes from there. So with all of that laid out, it's kind of hard to see how the old system would in any way be more advantageous than the new system, except for maybe one little thing. They're only allowing 3 per park. Those who really, really use FastPass to the fullest, if you get there at the beginning of the day, they're all the way till the end of the day, you're probably going to go through more than 3 FastPasses in a day. So that is one of those things that I believe they're still working on. If 3 is indeed the magic number, or if that number is going to change depending on crowd levels, depending on the time of the year, depending on the park, depending on the rides, etc. We don't know that. Also, this notion of park hopping is a little bit unclear at this point. Since it is still rolling out, little by little. As I said, it's already Animal Kingdom. It's going to be Magic Kingdom soon. Are you going to be able to do 3 in each park? Can you hop around, or is it 3 per day? Or this is still why they're saying it is in testing. So any details you might read about all of that are not set in stone, certainly, and remain to be seen. So if you sort of ignore those 2 for the moment, thinking that it's possible that they will change, the rest of it is definitely a bunch of pluses. So FastPass Plus, in my eyes, is definitely a plus. Now, I personally, as an annual pass holder, I would love to pull up my DisneyExperience.com before I leave for the park, see what's available, whether I'm going to be there for an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours or all day. Just check it, right before I go and see, oh, hey, Toy Story Mania, that still has a spot available, and Tower of Terror still has one, and this whatever Star Tours has one. And suddenly, rather than me going to the park and having to hunt around for the wait time board or the different attractions, I might actually know that at these times I can hit these rides and then be out of there, and that is my visit. So I'm really looking forward to doing that once it's linked up to my annual pass, but that's a little bit down the line. So My Magic Plus, of course, encompasses a lot more than just FastPass Plus. This is the first phase, the beginning of it, and there is a lot more to come. There are these little displays that are slowly rolling out throughout property that have digital picture frames in them, and it seems like that's going to be able to link up somehow to this My Magic Plus. And as you walk by, as your RFID tag is read from your Magic Band or your whatever, maybe you'll see yourself suddenly appear on a picture somewhere, or maybe it'll integrate with a ride, etc. There's a lot of possibilities for the future of this. FastPass Plus is just the first, and I think it's all good. Also, just to add one more note about if they do decide to go with just 3 FastPasses per day, might actually lessen those standby lines. There are a lot of people who will say ever since FastPass was developed in the late 90s, standby lines as a whole actually got longer rather than shorter, because so many people were using FastPass that those lines were moving, and then standby is forced to wait for the FastPass people to go through it. Well, if you have less FastPasses going on, then standby will move a little bit quicker, and maybe you'll have that balance that's better. As you wait for your times, you can wait in shorter lines. That would be the ideal. So I'm sure this will allow them to gather much, much more data and try to bring those wait times down across the board. So There it is, a bit of a closer look at 3 topics. I'm going to try to do this more and more in the near future, offer some of my own thoughts, my own opinions, and some additional details on topics that simply deserve a closer look and a further long explanation. And just for the heck of it, let's hear it one more time.
Magnification. Magnification.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic, listener feedback.
Now, let's read some emails before we wrap up the show here. First up is an email from David from Illinois, who writes, Happy New Year. Hope you are well. I continue to love your show. Been listening for years now. I just came back from a vacation to Walt Disney World with my wife, no kids. And we had a pretty thorough experience with the next-gen technology, My Magic Plus, FastPass Plus, Magic Bands. I'm sure many have talked about this with you, and I thought I'd share our experience with it. Let me know if you have any questions. On a scale 1 to 10, 10 is the best. I would give it a 7 or 8. Good system, definitely has a few issues, and I'm concerned about full implementation on a few times. For perspective, I'm a lifelong visitor to Walt Disney World. I vacationed there over 30 times with family or on my own since 1978 when I was less than 1 year old. I can remember the resort experiences going back to the original early Epcot Center days, long before FastPass and the Vacation Club. I've never been a Florida resident, so all my vacation experiences have been the 3 to 6 day vacation type, staying in all different types of resorts, value, mid, deluxe, and off property. So heading to Walt Disney World is very near and dear to me. Well, David, good to hear that as a big Disney fan, a long-time visitor, you are able to embrace My Magic Plus, FastPass Plus, etc., and give it a 7 or 8. That's pretty good for being a brand new system. I think that's exactly what Disney wants to hear, and that is the feedback that I've been hearing mostly. Of course, there's going to be problems with everything. One, people are resistant to change. Simple as that. But 2, there, as you said, a few issues that definitely will need to be worked out. But most important thing there is that you've been coming to Walt Disney World for a very long time, and this somehow improved your visit, and that's what Disney is really counting on. Next email is from Sarah, who writes, If the People Mover is not coming back to Disneyland, do you know why they still have the tracks? What's your opinion? The question is, why did they permanently close it down? Sarah, thanks very much for the email. The People Mover tracks have been there for a very long time in Tomorrowland, out of Disneyland, and they wind and they're big, and there's no real good reason to remove them because that's a big construction or destruction project that would just get in the way. Disney doesn't like to just remove things that are so there and in your face and would distract from everything without something to replace it. Now, they tried to do that at some point, and this goes to why they closed it down. The People Mover turned into rocket rods, which was a kind of a miserable failure. It was using a track for a fast-moving ride, and the track was never meant or intended to be used for a fast-moving ride, so it just didn't work out. And then after that closed, they just kind of left it there. There are many people who hope that one day the People Mover will return. However, I have heard that the track is not exactly in the best shape for a quick return of the People Mover. They would have to do some pretty monumental upgrades and updates and refurbishment to it. So it's kind of in that weird state where they don't want to tear it down because that's a big project unto itself to make it pretty after you tear down something like that down, but they don't want to open it again because that also is a big project that they're not invested in. Now, there's a lot of rumors out there as to what the future of Tomorrowland is going to be at Disneyland, and I have a feeling that the People Mover track is being looked at as either going away or being used in some fashion for whatever those plans are in the future. I can't imagine they're going to do any kind of big update to Tomorrowland without realizing that there's this big ugly track that's just sitting there throughout the land. So hopefully that answers your question. Next is an email from Eric, who writes, after listening to Noah's email on show 457, it sounded like he confused the never-built concept boat ride, the Enchanted Snow Palace, for both Disneyland and Epcot, as a planned replacement for Maelstrom. While both Frozen and the Enchanted Snow Palace were both based around the story of the Snow Queen, they were two very different takes on the story, with one being done as a ride design during the 50s and 60s, while Frozen is more current. There's a lot of concept art done for this ride, and with the success of Frozen, I could see why people would be confused with seeing the art for this ride. Eric, I'm not sure that anyone is necessarily confusing the old concept with the new one. There are a lot of rumors going around of Frozen coming to Epcot in some sort of ride fashion. I think it's just natural to think about that, considering the meet and greet is right there in Norway, and you think, oh, there's a ride, you can just give it a Frozen overlay, and there it is. And I'm sure Disney's talking about a Frozen ride of some sort, just because the movie's doing so very, very well. But yeah, it is interesting to think about any other concept that they have had in the past for the same source material, but not exactly the same as Frozen. And here we are in 2014 with it finally coming to fruition in some sort of way, maybe, possibly, in the future. Next, email from Lauren and Sophia, who write, we are taking a family trip to LA for a few weeks in the summer, and we've been to Disney World 7 times and loved it. We went to Disneyland in Anaheim 10 years ago when we were ages 8 and 5, so we don't really remember it. We are thrill seekers, so usually we just pay a visit to Six Flags when we're on the West Coast. However, this year we do want to go to Disneyland, so my question for you is, do you think we should make the trip? We will be staying in Santa Monica, have a car, so the drive is no trouble. Also, do you think one day for both parks is enough time to do what we need for a day for each? If so, would you recommend staying on or near property? What would you recommend that we must do in the parks? And could you recommend a restaurant in Disneyland California Adventure we should book in advance? Great questions there, Lauren and Sophia. And of course, my answer is go. Absolutely. Disneyland. How could you miss it? Great place to visit, especially with all of the things that have come to there in the last 10 years, or even specifically over the last 5 years or so. A lot has really happened there. A tremendous amount. So to kind of go through your questions here, do you need to stay nearby, or where should you stay? The on-property hotels are very expensive. They're very nice. I love the Grand Californian, but they are expensive. You might be better off, if price is an issue, staying down Harbor Boulevard. I like the Red Lion a lot over on Harbor and Catella, roughly. There's a lot of options to stay nearby. As far as one day being enough for each park, yeah, I'd say to get a good grasp on each park, you could easily do a day at California Adventure and a day at Disneyland. You won't see everything, but you don't have to. You can still have a tremendously fun day each day and really fill the whole day with entertainment for sure. What must you do in the parks? Well, there's a lot, but thinking specifically of the last 10 years since the last time you were there, Space Mountain has gotten better. You definitely want to do that. Captain EO is back, though I think it's going away soon. I don't know. It might be gone by summer, I'll put it that way. But if it's still there, you could do that. Sticking with Disneyland, there's Indiana Jones was there probably when you were there. I don't know if you went on it or not, but Indiana Jones is always a good one to ride. The Nemo subs, unfortunately, are closed this year, the submarine voyage, so you won't be able to go on that. That's certainly opened within the last 10 years, and I'm sure there are many other things. I mean, there's a lot of changes. The whole Fantasy Fair area, the whole park is wonderful. It's hard to say, yeah, you must do this or you must do that, because you must do everything. It's all so much fun. Pirates and Haunted Mansion and all the staples there, certainly. But as Disney California Adventure, now that one's a much easier question to answer, because there is a lot new there in the last 10 years. The Little Mermaid ride and World of Color at night, and certainly all of Cars Land, Radiator Springs Racers, and the other rides there. And there's just so much to enjoy. Spend some time on Buena Vista Street and watch the shows and go see Aladdin, and there's definitely plenty to enjoy in that park. It's a good time for you to go there as well. And as far as a restaurant, that is where I would say go for it. Go for the Carthay Circle restaurant. It is fantastic. You will definitely enjoy it. Blue Bayou is always enjoyable over at Disneyland as well, as is nearby Cafe Orleans. So there's a few options for you, but the simple answer, yeah, absolutely, go for it. Definitely go to Disneyland. All right, next email comes from Jeranet, and she writes, I just recently started listening to your show after briefly meeting you at D23. I've been a huge Disney fan since I was a kid, and my father worked for the Dolphin and Swan Resort for a long time, so Disney World for us was like going to the park on the weekends. I moved to Las Vegas in 1999, and I visited Disneyland and fell in love with it, and I've managed to suck my husband into the wonderful world of Disney. My question is regarding Soarin' over California. The castle at the end looks like Cinderella Castle, but I also see the Matterhorn in the background, so I'm confused. Is it Sleeping Beauty Castle, and why does it look so blue? Also, do you have a Disney bucket list of the must-dos or your recommendation? Well, interesting question there about Soarin'. Yeah, that's definitely Disneyland. The Matterhorn should be the dead giveaway there, along with the view of It's a Small World that you see as you're flying over. We certainly don't have exactly that here in Florida. But that is Sleeping Beauty Castle. It tends to change colors a bit at night, which I believe that flyover and Soarin' over California is at night. It has had a variety of paint schemes over the years. It did, one point, look very similar to Cinderella Castle as far as the blue and gray hues. There have been some pink hues introduced here and there, and at Christmas time it definitely looks different as well, and depending on the lighting. So, yeah, that's definitely Disneyland and Sleeping Beauty Castle. And as far as the must-dos, well, I think I just went through a whole bunch of them in the previous email as far as Disneyland goes. All right, one more email, and then we'll wrap it up for this week. This one comes in from Cassandra, who writes, first off, thanks for all the hard work and long hours you put into bringing us inside the magic over the years. I can't say enough how much we all enjoy your podcast and how wonderful it is to have a little slice of Disney magic every week. I was listening to the Ear in Review 2014 sequel this week, and was sorry to hear your frustrations over the negative comments surrounding SeaWorld. I was hoping to share a thought with you and the other listeners regarding this topic. While I do share the same opinion of those who would prefer not to see animals at SeaWorld or any park being used in attractions, I believe that supporting new attractions being introduced into the park that are not involving animals is a very important thing, and I hope you will continue to include that as part of your show every week. I already noticed in past years that many of the new SeaWorld attractions were kind of going in this direction already, and would be very happy about and would love to see and hear more of this in the future. I really think SeaWorld can deal with this controversy in a positive way if they begin to offer new things in the parks, and I would love to see them do it. I don't want to see them shut their doors. I just want them to not breed, capture, and contain wild animals in unnatural settings and force them to do unnatural things. Certainly good email there, Cassandra, and there are many thoughts toward this topic. The Blackfish documentary certainly has been much controversy surrounding that, and it tells one side of a story, a very specific side of a story that they wanted to tell, but it's not the whole story, and SeaWorld has their version of the story, which is that they haven't done any of the sort of the capturing in many, many, many years, and they've been doing breeding, certainly, and of course they are using animals in an entertainment/attraction fashion. So with all that said, you know what I enjoy most out of going to SeaWorld are the interesting, unique attractions as well. The animals are fun to see, but I mean, I don't know that I necessarily have an opinion on this whole topic of should the animals be there or not. I don't know enough about their living conditions, their state of mind, their whatever. You know, I'm not an expert in any way on any of that, so I don't even want to begin to talk about that. But what I can say is what entertains me the most. And for me, the things that I've always enjoyed the most at SeaWorld are like Manta, the roller coaster. I love that ride. I think it's one of the best coasters in Orlando, and that has nothing to... Well, there is an aquarium there. A very large aquarium with a lot of really great stingrays, and that's really nice, or various rays, manta rays, whatever rays. And it's very nice to look at, but really the ride itself is the attraction, which I very, very much enjoy. There are other experiences at SeaWorld that I've enjoyed as well. Their holiday celebration is wonderful and has very little to do with animals. In fact, I generally skip the animal shows because they're just not my thing. So it is interesting to hear all this controversy surrounding it. Honestly, if all the animals disappeared from SeaWorld, it would be a little odd. It wouldn't exactly be SeaWorld anymore. It would be just world. But that doesn't mean that they can't transform into some sort of thing that celebrates animal life without turning them into spectacles. I don't know what the future of that is for SeaWorld. I highly, highly doubt they'll completely get rid of all of their animals. That just wouldn't make any sense. But I do think some changes are going to come to how exactly they are displayed and portrayed and used as a form of entertainment. With all of that said, I do know that SeaWorld does a lot, and I stress a lot, of great conservation effort, a lot of animal rescues, a lot of careful work to make sure that the world is a better place for animals, and making sure that the animals out there that have any kind of suffering or need some help, they are there all the time. So to only focus on the much smaller number of animals that something like Blackfish does is ignoring all of the really great things that SeaWorld does as well. So there's sort of my take on that. I agree, SeaWorld has a place in this world, and they are doing a lot of good things, and I hope that they're planning even more fun, interesting, and perhaps animal-free attractions for the future. And that'll do it for listener feedback this week. And that's the end of show 458. I think I said on last week's show that I had asked on Facebook recently for some input as far as what everybody wants to hear out of this show throughout 2014 and in the future. And I've definitely taken note of what everybody said. A lot of really great suggestions, a lot of suggestions to bring back older things that haven't been heard on the show recently, as well as introduce some new things. And that's kind of what I was trying to do this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed hearing me talk a little bit more in depth about a few specific topics. I definitely want to do that more in the future, and I've got a lot of other ideas as well to keep this show fun, interesting, entertaining, and ever evolving. So there it is. I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. Also check out the Capturing Magic iPhone apps in the iTunes App Store. Great way to capture, or at least to remember to capture, all of those magical moments when you're at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Also, don't forget to visit us over at lanyardlab.com. It's my day job, my business that I run. If you need custom lanyards, the piece of material you hang around your neck to customize, put your business on, convention, whatever, family reunion, etc., you can do all that over at lanyardlab.com. Check out all the different styles and custom lanyard options that we have, and get a free price quote and a digital preview of your design. Between episodes of this show, definitely visit InsideTheMagic.net. It's your source for Disney and theme park news. You've got each week's show notes for this podcast, along with links and background music listings. But beyond that, lots of videos and photos and news and articles and plenty more. And you can certainly follow us on Twitter and on Facebook and on YouTube. Just add /InsideTheMagic to all of those services to keep up with all the fun all week long. So, thanks to all of you for listening each and every week, and have a magical week. Bye.
Just a dream